this station, and we think it's one of the greenest of the Green Line stations for reasons I'll get into later. I'd like to make a brief pitch for Medford because several of these stations are either in Medford or right on the border. Both the Route 16 station is actually in Somerville, but it's surrounded by Medford on 3 sides. College Ave is actually in Medford, and Ball Square actually is in Medford, the station, even though it's surrounded by Somerville as well. Anyway, a little context, if I could. This is an aerial photo showing the area. The station is different in that it's really serving 3 communities. It's serving West Somerville, the station is right there. It's serving West Medford and also East Arlington, all of which are very, very close and will all be using this station, which we feel is a great terminus for the project, far better than actually the one in College Ave being proposed right now. Anyway, the basics of our proposal is that we're trying to connect all 3 communities to this station. And we're actually proposing to reuse the existing U-Haul building rather than tear it down and build a station right on top of it. Because we feel that building could easily be adaptively reused without too much of a stretch and actually serve many of the functions that would go in a Green Line station, including bike storage, offices, small retail, even housing on the top floors because it's a 5-story building. Again, connectivity is what we talked about for about an hour at that first meeting, because we're trying to get people from all sides of the site to come and have an easy way to get there. We have the Whole Foods is on the other side of the tracks. We have existing office buildings to the right. We have 2 housing projects that are very close. One in Medford down up here, and one in Somerville over here. We want to make sure that whatever is proposed has a very strong physical connection, either along the tracks or along Boston Ave, to get to the station, again, to get the ridership as high as possible. We're proposing, like I said, to keep the U-Haul building and make pedestrian connections from along the Mystic River, create a green space in the foreground, and check as many connections as we can. A pedestrian bridge to West Medford Square, redesign this intersection, try to bring people along the tracks, and then actually connect under the tracks as well. We're trying to get as many people there as possible, and then rise up in between the platforms, and then get on what is the terminal line here. And this is the commuter rail lines running by here, going to Lowell on the left side. We have some challenges because we're about 200 feet from the street at Boston Avenue. So we're proposing that we, in this case, have a bus car drop off and redesign this whole intersection, this whole area, and find a way to filter people either between these houses, because there's actually some right-of-ways, or possibly with takings of the gas station on the corner, and really try to connect the green space that is the heart of this station, because what you really have along this edge is a bike and walking trail that will connect from Alewife to here, and ultimately all the way to Wellington. You'll have the orange, red, and green lines all connected by bike. So we think there's an enormous potential for ridership just on bike here, probably more than almost any other station that I can think of, actually, because it's got so much going for it. In addition to being fed by the bus lines, the 80 and the 94 that run along Boston Avenue. Anyway, just a couple of highlights, if I could. Again, the critical thing is, if you can see the U-Haul building, you really preserve the fabric of the neighborhood that's been there for 100 years. You have a lot of old kind of industrial buildings here, factory buildings have been renovated, and we feel that the U-Haul building really fits right into that context. So we're trying to basically create as much green space as possible and reuse the building, like I said, for all kinds of functions. Just some of the bullet points we talked about. We're trying to, there's a lot of traffic studies that need to happen in order for this project to work. We have a very dangerous Mystic Valley Parkway that is extremely difficult to cross right now. So things like pedestrian bridges, redesigned intersections from both Medford, Arlington, and Somerville, I think are really important to get people here safely, because this really has, safety is a real challenge for this station. This is really a small highway. It used to be a pleasure road, but it's become something much more than that over the years. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done there. There's certainly options to rebuild and reimagine the public housing and possibly the Whole Foods being transformed over time as well because of the transit development, which I think is a major feature of this site. I mean, really, the whole site, this whole area, other than these 5 houses, are really primed for developments. There's so much potential in those existing buildings to feed the station, both as a place to live and work, and even entertainment, I think, as well. Let's see. 1 minute. I'm sorry. The other thing that has come up, we have some. We don't have a direct bus drop-off at the station. We have some accessible parking back here, but we don't. It's a bit of a walk right now. It's actually physically challenging to get buses to actually drop you off right at the station. It creates a lot of havoc in here, and we've been fighting to make sure we preserve these buildings. The original design for the T actually took this building, and we challenged that a long time ago to try to make sure that that didn't happen. And I think their latest design will prove that it doesn't have to happen that way. Anyway, so. Just to sum up, I think this is a great terminus station. This is really, it's really very positive because the ridership for the whole project goes up so much higher than when you go to Route 16. That extra 3/4 of a mile really brings about 10,000 people who live within I think it's a 1/4 mile radius of this station. So we're really excited to make this be a great terminus.